Welcome to Lesson 10-6, Subtracting Mixed Numbers.
Hey guys, it's Julie with Mahalo.com, and today we're going to talk about adding or subtracting mixed numbers. Now, in this case, it happens to be subtraction, but all the rules are the same if it were an addition problem. So, let's start with a way that you can do it to where you can do these problems the same way every time and not get it wrong. For example, some people think that you can just do 3 minus 2 and get 1, and then do 1/3 minus 1/4 and get whatever that fraction is. Now, in this problem, something like that would work, but it won't work every single time. Because if this fraction is smaller than this one, you'll have to borrow from that whole number. So here's a way you can do it, and you do every problem the exact same way, and you're guaranteed to get it right. First, we need to turn these mixed numbers into just fractions. And we know how to do that by saying 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10, over the same denominator. And over here we have 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9, over the same denominator. Bring down our subtraction sign. We also know that the rules of adding or subtracting fractions is you have to have the exact same denominator. These aren't the exact same, so we need to get what's called a common denominator. So how do they become common? If they were 12. So how did I turn this 3 into a 12? I multiplied it by 4. And remember, what you do to the bottom, you need to do to the top. So we're going to multiply that times 4. 4 times 10 is 40. What did we do over here? How did this 4 become a 12? Well, we multiplied it by 3. 4 times 3 is 12, and 9 times 3 is 27. So now we have two fractions with a common denominator, so now we can subtract. And you remember that the rules of adding or subtracting fractions is you leave the denominator the same, and you just subtract or add the top. So in this case, we're going to subtract. So 40 minus 27 is 13. And we also know how to turn a fraction into a mixed number. So this 13 would reduce to 1 and 1 over 12. And that's how you add or subtract mixed numbers. Thanks for learning with me today.
Let's try a few on our own now. The first step was to take the mixed number and change it into an improper fraction. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 3 is 23, and I keep the same denominator. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7, and I keep the same denominator. Now my next step is to find a common denominator. Between 5 and 3, my common denominator would be 15. How'd I get from 5 to 15? I multiplied by 3. 23 times 3. Here's the hard part about these, is you might have to do a little bit of work off to the side. Subtracting mixed numbers has a lot of steps. So it would be 69. How'd I get from 3 to 15? I multiplied it times 5. 7 times 5 is 35. Now I can easily subtract them. 69 minus 35 is 34. Now your final step to do would be to take this improper fraction and change it back into a mixed number. How many 15s in 34? There are 2. 2 times 15 is 30, with 4 left over 15. So 4 and 3/5 minus 2 and 1/3 equals 2 and 4/15. Let's take a look at a second one. 5 and 6/7 minus 1 1/2. My first step again was to change these mixed numbers into an improper fraction. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 6 and I keep my same denominator. 2 times 1 plus 1, and I keep my same denominator. My second step was to find a common denominator. My common denominator looks like it's going to be 14. How did I get from 7 to 14? Times 2. So 41 times 2 is 82. If you can't do that in your head, you'd have to multiply it off to the side. How did I get from 2 to 14? Times 7. So 3 times 7 is 21. And now I can subtract. 82 minus 21 gets me 62. Whoa, crazy pen. 14. Now what's my final step to do from there? I need to figure out how many 14s in 62. So I could divide. If I can't divide, remember I can add till I get close to 62 without going over. Add another 14. At 42. Let's add another 14. At 56. Let's try one more. And that's going to put me over. So how many 14s? 1, 2, 3, 4 got me to 56. So this one right here is a big 4. I'm at 56. How many then are left over? 8 over 14. Another step though is it looks like I can reduce that down. What can I divide these both by? Guessing 2. So my final answer would be 4 and 4/7. 4 1/8 minus 1 1/2. My first step is to change these into a mixed number into an improper fraction. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 1 is 33, minus 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Okay, now what do I need to do? I need to find a common denominator. 16, ooh, could I do a better one? You're right, if you said you could do 8. This one stays the same. How did I get from 2 to 8? I multiplied times 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. Now what I need to do is I need to subtract. 33 minus 12 gives me 21. 21 over 8. Now what do I need to do? Figure out how many 8s are in 21. That's 2, right? And it's at 16. So how many would be left over? 5/8. So multiplying fractions has a lot of steps. For your notes tonight, I want you to write down the steps. I'm going to type them out here. Our first step is to change to improper fractions. Our second step was to do what? Find a common let me spell that correctly. Denominator. Excuse me. What was our third step? We changed it to an improper fractions. Then we found a common denominator. Then we subtracted or subtract. And then our fourth step was to simplify. You either change to mixed number and I'm going to say and or you also sometimes have to reduce. Hopefully this will help you out when we are trying to subtract mixed numbers tomorrow. Have a great night.